Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some PathOfExile discussion. I needed to craft myself an upgraded Curse on Hit ring, and I wanted to go through the process that I used with you. This is how I made Agony Finger, and also how I've made a couple of other quite similar rings. These are Hunter-influenced Iolite Rings that have Curse enemies with Despair on hit, with 32% increased effect. Now, if you were to buy a Hunter-influenced Iolite ring from trade from another player, it's going to cost you a couple of Divine Orbs as of the time that I'm recording this video. You can do it cheaper though, and that's because Awakener Orbs are much cheaper than usual this league. The entire cost for crafting this should be in the vicinity of 120 chaos at the time I'm recording this video, although of course that's subject to change if the market changes on any of the component pieces. So step 1, trade for a Shaper influenced Iolite ring with a high item level. This one here is item level 86 or 87, this one's 87. There's quite a lot of these on the market because players are getting more and more comfortable with fighting Uber Shaper. As a result, there's just more people running the Shaper than would normally be the case. These people don't often find an Iolite ring, but when they do, they don't value it very highly because it's not something that's super sought after. Now, if the market for Iolite rings from the Shaper dries up as a result of this video, what you're going to want to do is find whichever of the Conqueror's Exalted Orbs is cheapest. It certainly won't be the Hunter one, those are expensive. And then you're going to want to apply that to an item level 86 or above Iolite ring. So that's going to be your starting point. You won't end up with a Shaper influence in that case. You'll end up with a Redeemer influence, a Crusader influence, or a Warlord influence, depending upon the prices at the time. So once you've done that, you've got your Shaper influenced ring or a different Elder Slayer influenced ring. Then what you want to do is roll it so that it's got exactly one influence mod on it, and that influence mod is something good. If you follow my advice and go with a Shaper ring, then you can do that with the Horticrafting Station. Reforge an item with a caster mod has a 25% chance to come up with this 38% reduced effective curses on you mod on it. Just make sure you don't have any undesired Shaper mods as well. It is possible to get that mod in conjunction with something like Grant's level 22 Herald of Thunder, which is probably useless for most builds that would be playing with a Shaper influenced Iolite ring. Next, you're going to want to get a Curse Enemies with Despair on hit with 32% increased effect ring. This is something you're going to trade for. Alternately, you can roll it. So if you're forced to roll it, trade for a Hunter influenced ring or find one yourself, and then use Reforge Caster on it from Harvest. This has a 1 in 16 chance of getting the mod you want, so it's fairly expensive. Alternately, you can do it the cheap way and trade for it. Soul Circle here cost me 20 chaos. Next, all you need to do is make sure that neither of the items that you're using as inputs has multiple influence mods. So firstly, we'll just recheck this. Honed is from the normal pool, Sapphire normal pool, Pupil and Lion normal pool. Of the Hunt, Despair on hit, 32%. That's from the Hunter pool, that's okay. And checking the same one here, you'll see that there's only the one Shaper mod on it. And all that's left, Awakener Orb. Smash! Make sure that you click the Hunter influenced ring first and the Shaper influenced ring second. Now, what do we end up getting here? We've actually got a fairly bad outcome. We've gone 6 mods, which is not what we want to see. That's only going to happen 1 in 12 times with an Awakener Orb. And then we've got bad mods that are pretty undesired in all the other slots. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to list this for 1 Divine Orb. This is a failed craft, but it may be useful to someone, and it will be the cheapest Iolite ring on the market that has Curse Enemies with Despair on hit. So someone might find this, go, yoink, I'll take that for a Divine, and then when they do that, I'll be able to then buy all the components for another attempt at this craft. And that's what I did. Agony Finger was one of 3 attempts I'd made off stream, and so that's the ring that I'm using now. It's not perfect, but it's a pretty solid upgrade, and there's lots of room for it to grow if I was to then later use Suffixes Can't Be Changed, and then a Veiled Chaos Orb, and then Benchcraft Life. That's all we've got for now. May your Veil Orbs have interesting results.